If you're looking to build a home gym but aren't quite ready to sell your soul for it, but also don't want to flirt with tetanus as you work out in your Soviet prison, then this video is for you. We're going to cover over a dozen items and a few different ways you can build your minimalist home gym, because the most important factor for your gym build is it needs to work for you and your space. This isn't a budget build video per se, though I will give a range of options for each piece of equipment, because as your budget raises, so do your options. This video is for people looking to pack a ton of versatility into a small space. Each one of these items will allow you to do a lot, and they build off each other. This is stuff we use, recommend, and they're good items that you'd be happy with no matter where you are in your home gym journey. If you enjoy our content and want to support the channel, then please check out the links of the items we're about to talk about down in the description. If you use one of those links to make a purchase, the company will send us a small commission at no cost to you, and that's how we funded this video and our other content, since we purchased most of these items ourselves. If I could only have one thing in my home gym, it would be dumbbells, because they're incredibly versatile and you can get very strong with them. In our minimalist gym, we have quite a few options. Adjustable dumbbells are my first choice since they take up essentially no space, but they can get expensive. So even though I'll give some options there, let's first take a look at some alternatives so you can get an idea of what's going to work for you. The cheapest thing you can buy is spin lock dumbbells. I got this pair off Amazon for $60, and they came with the handles and 60 pounds of plates. Spin locks are a great option if you're looking to build a space at the absolute minimum cost, because dollar for dollar, you will not find a better deal. They are slow to change the weights, but they're great if you're a masochist, because these things will stab you, try to hurt you, and get in your way every chance they get. If you want something that's a little gentler and more compact, but still kind to your wallet, I'd look at Kensu's Adjustables. We've got a full review of both the Pro and Maxes coming, so subscribe for that. But for $40 for the Pros, which are made of nylon, or $100 for the more durable aluminum Maxes, these solve most of the problems I have with spin locks, although they are still slow when changing the weights. Outside of that, the flat base of the screws provide a smooth surface for you to prop them up or set them down. The handles don't stick out past the plates, so they don't mess with your range of motion or force you to alter your movements, and they can use both standard 1-inch and Olympic 2-inch plates. You can also load them pretty heavy if you pick up the extension screws, but the problem with loadable dumbbell handles is you need plates, and potentially a lot of them depending how heavy you want to go. And that's where things can get expensive. So to save money, I check the used marketplace, because most weight plates will last just about forever and you can find some great deals. So go down into that person's creepy basement gym, and if you make it out of there alive, you'll be one step closer to your own creepy home gym. Of course, handles, screws, and a bunch of plates don't make for a super clean setup. So if that's not your style, I'd look at adjustable dumbbells, and I'm gonna give my budget and top choices. My budget pick is PowerBlock's Elite EXPs. A 50-pound pair will run you about $360, and you can expand them out to 70 and 90 pounds later on if you need more weight. Best of all, they run sales on these things pretty often, so you might be able to find them for a little bit less. If you want to take an in-depth look at them, then check out our review in comparison to the Pro 100 EXPs. My top pick is the Rep Pepin Fast Series adjustable dumbbells. They're more expensive, but also expandable up to 125 pounds. We played around with these at Home Gym Con over a period of a few days and came away impressed. Now, I'm not one to get caught up in hype trains, so I don't want to crown these the best thing for most people just yet. We will be doing a full in-depth review of them, so subscribe for that one, because you can't really say subscribe too many times, right? But the knurling was nice, the all-metal construction seems pretty durable, and this Rep and Pepin collab looks to be a knock out of the park. Whatever you choose though, dumbbells are a great start to any home gym, so go grab a pair and throw that thing back during some tricep kickbacks to give your partner something to stare at. And by that I mean those massive triceps, of course. The next thing I would buy is some type of suspension training system, and we've once again got a few different options. But my absolute favorite is gymnastic rings, which you probably already knew if you've been watching for a while because I've talked about them in so many videos. They are one of the most underrated and versatile pieces of equipment you can buy, and they're cheap. I know a lot of people are a bit skeptical about rings because you see these clips of Olympians doing crazy things on them, but about the closest I've ever gotten to being a gymnast is when I Photoshop my head onto one. You do not need to be some huge, handsome, super strong YouTuber to use rings. There's tons of exercises that can be done on them and scalable variations that will help you to progress. Because of their inherent instability, they're a great way to work your core and stabilize your muscles, and I give them a ton of credit for helping me to rehab my shoulder after I had injured it. Since rings move freely, they'll follow a more natural path than a fixed pull-up bar, making them much easier on your joints. So when I literally could not do a pull-up or a dip, I used these instead and had no pain or issues. All you need for rings is a place to hang them, be it a tree, your kid's playscape, or your $10,000 power rack that you have to show off because you have a constant need for validation online. If you're looking for a single item with a ton of utility, it's going to be hard to find something as inexpensive and versatile as rings. I've had my 1¼ inch wood rings from Rep for years and can't recommend them enough, especially at $40 shipped. Wood is easier to grip than plastic, and I prefer the larger grip diameter of the 1¼ inch because they feel better in my hands, but Rep sells 1.1 inch ones as well if you want to comply with Olympic specs or if you have smaller hands. As an alternative to rings, if you're looking for something to use when you travel or that you can mount in a doorway, I think a TRX type system may be a little more convenient. Another possibility for a minimalist gym is a wall or door mounted pull-up bar. You can't do quite as much with them, but something like this from Massapow, Doplex, or Khaki Clay. It probably doesn't matter whose rebranded version you buy. This type of doorway pull-up bar has a few more grip options than your typical bare bones system, and the suspension element of it gives you a few more possibilities. I would rank a pull-up bar behind rings and a TRX style system because you can do more with those and they'll engage your core more. But with any of these, you can get a jacked upper body, and we all know the only reason we're training legs anyway is to hold up our massive upper bodies. Keeping the idea of compact and versatile in mind, I'm going with an adjustable bench next, but with a focus on expandability so that your gym can grow with you if you decide to build on it later. The king of versatility in the bench game is Iron Master's Super Bench Pro. You can do dips off this thing, it's got a leg extension and curl attachment. I've even used it for decline and core work, and that's not really even scratching the surface of attachments you can add onto it. I mean, they've got a freaking cable tower for it. If I only had space for 3 things, I'd go dumbbells, rings, and this bench, and I'd honestly be very happy. Iron Master's ecosystem is second to none. I've reviewed Bells of Steel's Buzzsaw. We've got every attachment for Prime's Shorty bench, and I own more benches than probably anyone. Now, that's not an accomplishment, that's me acknowledging the irony of this video, but none of them can do the things the Super Bench can. If you're looking for a less expensive option, albeit not as versatile, I'd still get an adjustable bench because when paired with dumbbells and other equipment, you can do so much. The absolutely cheapest adjustable bench I recommend is Giant Lifting's 2X adjustable bench. I own it and I own Rep's AB3100, and they're essentially the same thing. Same seat, same back angles, same basic construction, and same price, except code GLUCK does make Giant's bench a little bit cheaper. There's a lot of companies selling similar rebranded stuff, except Rep and others haven't updated their design in years, and Giant has. They've added a knurled handle, theirs stores upright, and they've made some other subtle tweaks that make their bench stand out. This next one, you could argue, should be your first purchase, and that's resistance bands. This is as close as you'll get to a mandatory purchase with a home gym. Bands are great because they take up basically no space, they're cheap, and you can do so much with them. I use mine to warm up, and they're another great tool I used in my shoulder rehab to work on my shoulder strength and mobility. Now, I know bands aren't always sexy, but they can do a lot of things weights can't. As for which ones to get, I like to set from Serious Steel because I can't tell the difference between them and my ones from Rogue. I'd start with the number 0, 1, and 2 set and add on from there if you need more later. They're made from natural latex and have been proven to be durable over a number of years, and this is not an area you should cheap out on unless you want to end up on a band fail montage. If you don't have something to attach your band to, I'm not really sure where I first saw this, but you take your wife's best sock, tie a knot on both sides, leaving some space in the center, anchor the knots in a doorway, and attach your band to the loop you just created. Just remember to lock your door, so when your wife figures out what you've done to her sock, she doesn't open it mid-rep, so you knock yourself out. Another very useful item for any home gym is a cable system, and I'm going to give you some diverse options ranging from inexpensive up to something you can get pretty wild with. Regardless of which you go with, they're all compact and provide a lot of variety in your workouts. If you want a DIY solution where you're picking the components yourself, then I'd check out a guy like Kaizen DIY, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've tested and know as much about that as he does, and I've linked his channel below. A little simpler of a solution would be something pre-packaged off Amazon. There's a ton of options, but you're looking for something with a few cable lengths, multiple pulleys to give you a few more options on how you use it, and then just find one with good ratings like this one from CERT. Honestly, a lot of them are nearly identical, just packaged a little differently, so pick the one that appeals to you, and remember, it's Amazon. You can easily return it if you don't like it. If you want more of a high-end option, I really like Bells of Steel's cable towers. We own and have reviewed both the plate-loaded and selectorized versions, and while the selectorized is more convenient and the better of the two, I think it's expensive for what it is. I'd get the plate-loaded version with the optional upright, grab their upgraded pulleys, and be very happy. The amount of movements you can use the towers for is pretty impressive, and that's not including the fact Bells also sells attachments for them. But depending on how American your definition of minimalist is, if you want to kick it up to an insane level, you can check out the stuff Matt Porter makes for these. I'll link him in the description as well, but suffice it to say, you can get pretty wild with these towers. From here, you've got a lot of inexpensive options that don't take up much space, but you can still do a lot with them. I always recommend a jump rope because if you're looking for a cheap item that you'll probably never use, this might be your best bet. I'll just use a lot of buzzwords to sell this one. Functional, dynamic, explosive, athletic. Seriously though, for a few dollars, these things are incredible as a cardio piece. They're great for your shoulders and for your general health. I've been recommending this one from Deagle since back before I knew how to hold my hands on camera. A weight vest is another item that can help you get stronger, but I also find them much safer, more comfortable, and more versatile than a dip belt, although a dip belt does make you look more alpha. For a vest, I'd go with Kensu's Easy Vest. Not for its 1680D military grade nylon and aircraft grade aluminum, but because I find it more useful than other options out there because you can use whatever plates you've got lying around and can progressively load it up to 300 pounds for the max version, though I found the Pro to be cheaper and more than enough for my needs, so that's the one I recommend. The light version is fine too, but the straps aren't as beefy and can become uncomfortable as you load it. With a vest, you can load push-ups, pull-ups, and since it doesn't get in the way like a belt, they can be used to add weight to any number of exercises, or you can ruck or run with it if you're an absolute psycho. Either way, I think they're an underutilized items in home gyms, which brings us to the point where you really have to think about how you're going to train and what you want your space to look like. Kettlebells, slam balls, and sandbags can be great ways to train for a lot of people, and you could even make the argument for a minimalist home gym that's just a barbells, some plates, and maybe even a pair of squat stands. But then you might start going down the rabbit hole of power racks, and the next thing you know, a few years have passed and you're alone in your gym talking to a camera. Don't be like me, but feel free to check out the links below if any of the items we've talked about interest you, and please let me know what your minimalist gym would look like or what you'd change from what I've said. And check out this playlist here to see all of our home gym build videos. We've done a ton of them thanks to our Patreons. Links in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.